brilliant.
It's all right.
Would you come back?
I would happily come back. Yeah, and I'll keep you posted on any enforcement related activities that we do. Okay. But if anybody has any questions, you can email in and ask these questions. Okay.
Can we get an earlier slot next time?
There is a lot more that we do in addition to
Chair, I'd just like to
Thank
say
you.
I had a personal issue that I had to deal with, Tommy, with a neighbour whose team's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for that.
Okay.
Also, one thing about the team, it might need expanding a little bit.
Yeah, tell me
5 people flats.
Yeah, I know. I could use an army, to be honest. But thank you.
Right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right, moving on. Item 6.7. No. Item 7, Community Action Network. They can't come, but they are making plans to come again. I'll refer to the letter which we've got. Is there any questions? Thank you. So moving on to item 8. 8.1. Reports from councils from outside the bodies. Appendix 4. Derbyshire County Council. Clowne, Greenway, dog litter bins.
Yeah, just quickly on this one, I think it was raised by parishioners at the last meeting about could we have some dog bins to try and tackle the dog fouling along the new network. I contacted the lead person for Derbyshire County Council and said, look, it's been raised by parishioners. Are you able to do something? And essentially they've said they have no more money left in the budget. It's all been spent on developing the branch line, but I think that they did say that, you know, if another organisation was willing to, you know, put their hand in the pocket, they would consider putting them on there. But it's the emptying and the maintenance that's the issue, not just necessarily buying them. You know, you can pick a dog bin up for 300 odd quid. It's the emptying and all of that that's.
I think it's an issue in class. Should we put it on next to? There we go.
It's just gone to live.
Should we put it on next agenda for an agenda item to look at it in more detail?
Yeah.
That be okay?
Yeah,
we could do that.
yeah, got it. Next agenda, got it. Yeah.
Cultivation licence for High Street Clowne. I think that's the side of, I don't know.
It is. There's two aspects to this, and I applied before I went off. So we're talking sort of September, end of September, October. This is for the highway verge outside those grassed areas outside of Haddon Care Home to be landscaped and fenced. And so there are two processes. One is the cultivation licence to do the planting, and then the Parish Council will then take responsibility for the ongoing maintenance of whatever's planted in there and pick up the cost of doing the landscaping works. And then obviously one of the key things is to stop the parking that's happening. So that would be putting something like knee rail high fence all the way round, which we've had to apply for an object in the highway. Just obviously part of the bureaucracy of getting all these approvals. So there are two aspects to it. There's the planting and the fencing. Both have been with county, say, since September, October. There's been some back and forth. I'm assured that it's being moved on and processed. It's not as straightforward as what you think, because they then have to consult with lots of different agencies, as you can imagine, anything to do with the highway. But I'm on it. I'm pressing the person at Highways who's leading on this. But as soon as I get the legal agreement, I'll need to bring that back for you to be comfortable with, and then we can get on and actually do the works. So we're getting there, but not maybe as quickly as we would have liked, but it's moving.
I've got a little bit of information on that. This council's been landed with a problem which the previous council agreed to sort out. So during our time we are sorting it out, but the last previous council agreed to do it, promised the earth, and it never happened. So that's why Mr. Nolan's pushing and pushing and pushing. He is a reasonable man, and I think, can we keep him informed again?
I've been regularly, believe he's emailing me regularly, so.
You will do.
Yeah, so I'm in dialogue with him,
Yeah.
he knows what's up.
That's it.
There's 106 monies that have been put to one side for that as
Mm.
well.
Yeah.
So it's money from developers, so we should use it. You know, to
Think-
improve the area. It's a gateway in, so it's perfect, really. Opportunity to use some of these monies.
This money, I'm off the top of me, I can't remember this. I think there's been about £18,000 put away in the parish council's budget from the previous council.
Well,
So
if we don't
that's
have to
some-
use parish council money, we can use developer money. We can, you know.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
allocate this.
But what happens to that money? Well,
Well,
all of us spending somebody else's money.
you've got money in the budget for environmental improvements, so that falls into that category.
Mhm.
But it's whether, you know, if you wanted to use your 106 and then
Let's push it.
divert that for some other projects, and make the most of it.
Mhm.
If you get somebody else,
Yeah.
all I'm worried about is delaying it, so.
It won't delay
It
it.
doesn't have a delay effect.
Fallback
There's no
position
delay.
is, you've got money in the budget
Yeah.
to do it if there's a problem with the Bolsover District Council
There isn't.
106, which I
I've
don't
referred
think
over
there
to
is.
the, that's
So
the.
it's not about, this one isn't about money, this is just about getting the legal things through county and then getting the documentation back so we can sign it off and get it done.
So can we start pushing for application for 106 money?
Yeah, yeah,
We can start that. and
Yeah.
then we'll-
yeah, absolutely, no
I've already
worries.
pushed him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you push it.
I'll make the formal approach then,
Yeah.
yeah.
Next one, objection, applications.
That's just part of the same one,
Yeah.
that's the fencing bit of the cultivation
Yeah.
licence.
Consultation on home for older people, is this that's what, that email I got?
Yes,
That-
there are, this is feedback from Councillor Weston. You've all got a copy of that. Basically, there's ongoing consultation. Clowne's was on the 7th of Feb. I think that the attendance and the publicity around promoting it wasn't that good. So I think Councillor Weston asked for another session because she wasn't happy that there'd been full engagement over something as critical as this matter. So 23rd of March at Clowne Library between 2 and 5 p.m.
Why haven't at that time when people work? It's crazy.
Well, some attend while one. So anyway, it's afternoon for Clowne Library. So I would encourage elected members and members of the public to go, listen to what they've got to say, make any representations. Plus, you've got the online methodology of making representations as well. So hopefully,
Right, thank you. Can I just say one thing and then? I've received a letter from, an email from County Council and they've offered to come and have a chat with us. So I've been waiting for a response from Council. I would encourage us to get them in here. Let's grill
on this issue, on the
on this
consultation.
issue. Yeah, you know that email you sent me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's have them back in. Earlier the better for me. That's it.
Can we just get some clarification on this as well? Because the last drop-in at the library, it wasn't for information, it was purely for people to come and voice their objections and the reasons as to why they don't want it to shut. And I think that some people, I had some residents ask me to go and I did attend on their behalf, and it was purely just to write down why you're objecting. There was no information given as, you know, as a presentation as such. So I think that we just need to get some clarification on that as well, just to feed back into Clowne.
Yeah.
And again, I'm going to ask you to read that report because the information's there and you can question them and you will be prepared.
I'll put it on the website. So.
Right, thank you, Steve. Local consultant, local crime figures for February.
Those have been circulated, Chair, for members. Do you want me to go through, or do you want to do it, or?
And then February figures for crime and Clowne. Criminal damage, we've had 4. Assault, we've had 6. Robbery, we've had 1. Theft, 6. What?
Robbery 1.
Sexual offence, 4. Arson, 1. Vehicle crime, 2. Non-dwelling burglary, 1. Harassment, 2. Traffic offence, 1. Public order, 2. Burglary, 1. If any members of the public want to have a look at this, we can pass it around. Yeah, I'll pass that around. It's sparkle. Right, 8.22, NPR cameras. Have we got an update on this?
Yeah, I've got an update, Chair. As you can recall, we put money in the budget for 4 sets of ANPR cameras to support the police in targeting vehicle crime and out of area crime in and out of the village. The issue was, if you can recall, that they were happy for Clowne Parish Council to pay for them, but they couldn't guarantee during the life of these cameras, which would be several years, they couldn't guarantee that in terms of police tasking, they would always remain in Clowne Parish. And I think the view of members was, well, hang on a minute, if Clowne parishioners are paying for it, we wouldn't be happy about them going down the south of the district. And if that was the deal, then we probably wouldn't want to participate. So I put that to them in an email, and the response was, unfortunately, that's the deal. The deal is they can't guarantee that they would, because it would be operational strategic led, and the chief inspector would task the team and they would go wherever they were needed. So that's the feedback. Obviously, I could do with a steer on whether you still want me to pursue it or whether it's done and whether you want to use that money for something else.
But I have proposed a motion that seems that they're not stopping in Clowne, and can't guarantee that it's staying in Clowne after Clowne parishioners and our precepts paid for them. I'd like to tell the police that we're not going to fund them.
I need a second.
All in favour?
Yeah, 1 second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. For the motion.
Against? Abstain? Thank you, councillors. There is more paperwork on that if you want to see we'll lay it through, but basically that's what's happened. We've agreed to do something and then they've changed the matter.
Okay, I'll let them know. Yeah.
Also, the district councils changes to district and parish gazettes.
Yeah. I've had an email from Bolsover District Council. If you can recall, they do this district-wide magazine that sort of gets posted through folks who are telling them about Bolsover district initiatives. But they also lead on a series of parish gazettes that were covered into geographical areas. So the one for our area was Clowne, Whitwell, Balborough and Cresswell. They've reviewed it, and what they're going to do is they're going to do a parish gazette for each individual parish. So there will be a Clowne parish gazette. Obviously, we're quite critical as a team in putting, notices, public notices, issues of interest, etc., etc. And obviously, there's a lot to talk about. So I would say that you need to get in touch with, if you want anything putting in this parish gazette, with Scott Chambers, who's the press and publicity lead at Bolsover District Council. So that's it, and then obviously the first one's coming up soon, so we need to get a move on and getting stuff in.
I think you'll find that we've missed it for this
we
next
missed it
quarter.
this time, right.
I have requested that some information go in about East Clowne and about the consultation process to, so it can be circulated. But I think we just need to check. I think it's just a page within the Gazette as well. I might be wrong, but I'm sure when I read through the email from Scott, I think it's each parish gets a page, but I can go through the
It used to be a page in as which you get the individual parish, but I'll check with him. But anyway,
So if we could put that on as a regular agenda, if it's a regular gazette,
yeah.
and then we can put it on
Every
as
3 months.
council, Clowne council, we're doing this, and then start rolling up front because we know it, don't we?
Yeah.
Also, could we ask for any input from community members? Because there's a lot of community groups in Clowne with very little publicity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a community
Yeah.
community vehicle, isn't it? For
Yeah, it is.
promoting.
So if anybody's a member of community groups or anybody wants any advertising, it's free advertising, which may be good. Is everybody done? Tree preservation order.
Yeah, I've circulated this already, it was in the packed chair. I've received notification that a tree preservation order was made on the 21st of February this year on areas of woodland and individual trees around and within the hotel and housing developments of Van Dyke's Hotel and Nurseries on Worksop Road. It's just for information really, Chair. It tells you, there's a detailed order that's been circulated, there's a map, obviously, that's for information, so members are aware of what's going on.
Dan? Right.
Well, I was just wondering, like, obviously, it's about tree preservation, I know obviously it's parish meeting, district meeting and all that, and I've spoken to district council and I've asked the question myself. But, how does the preservation of them trees fall into this whole local plan sort of thing?
I can't tell you, but from my experience of tree preservation, it is not worth paying for it now. But don't not do it. Do not do it, because I've said that. It's just one obstacle.
And also, how does this one relate? Is it just specifically Van Dyke's?
That one is, yeah.
This one is, I mean, there'll be quite a few across the district. Obviously there'll be trees that are historic, have historic value or aesthetic value, and that's why they do put a tree preservation order to stop folks from cutting them down or doing works to them that would
Yeah, because I
diminish
think,
their aesthetic appeal.
yeah, because it's individual trees and then there's the woodland
Well, there you go.
behind.
Yeah,
Is that
I
right?
was just going to say, well, with the local planning, during the outline planning, they did look at areas of what would be protected. We tried to enforce it with statutory authorities to put further protections to move areas back where they can build up to. And during reserve matters, that's where we'll have to engage again.
Didn't bother about the road round the dam.
No.
Just
Thank
got
you,
to go
Eric.
down.
Thank you, Eric. Yeah, 833 grounds maintenance, works at Villa Park.
Yeah.
Is this for Bolton? Have we got 3 quotes for this?
No. We've used Bolsover District Council grounds maintenance team for several years. They're tasked up to do all of this work. They have a tractor with a flail mower. We don't. So historically we brought this in. The renewal price for renewing the contract is £795.50p plus that, which we can claim back anyway. Obviously, time is fast approaching. We'll need to start doing the maintenance on Villa Park soon. This is in addition to the maintenance that our team do. This is just a big machine with a flail mower that sort of does the main bulk of the cut.
Can I just, can we, as a standing orders, get 3 quotes for this, bring it back as soon as we can, and we'll look at it again, because at the moment we've only got 1 quote from Bolsover. Plus, we've also got the most amazing groundsman in Derbyshire. Can't you do it?
It's the
David.
machine.
Yeah, we have machines.
Yeah.
It's
It's because it's specialist. We're not talking about just to sit on mower or a hand
No,
mower.
no.
Obviously, these are tasked up to do
Do we
it.
approach anybody else?
No.
Could we see if we could approach anybody else?
The only issue that we've got is what we're on now, and they start cutting in, I think it starts in March, end of March, start the cutting season, so my worry is that through default, you could not have your pitch cut.
Have a word with Jen, and all the rest about the country park.
I mean, if you're happy to delegate I'll go out and see if I can get quotes and then go with the
I'm
most.
just concerned because the previous council was giving it supporting Bolsover District Council. There were cheaper options, but they still went for Bolsover. I'd like at least, I personally would like 1 more quote, just so we've got a comparison. They might be dearer, they might be cheaper, we don't know. We just sit in ducks as a council, we have to hope someone.
With our commitment to the teams that use the field, I think on this occasion we should use the quote and get the works done, and then moving forward, look at alternatives like Max has said and yourself. But I think that we have, you know, we've got an obligation to these teams.
Yeah, totally agree.
So I think that we should honour the quote and then moving forward,
Well-
perhaps look at alternatives.
Do you know, you mentioned something, Maxie?
It's just, Barber Country Park, they've got playing fields on there, so they get specialists on there to
Yeah.
do it.
Could we have a, just as a comparison,
With
we
the
could have,
park at Balborough.
There's also
and
Ward,
see-
Ward Lane as well that they cut, yeah,
yeah?
and that's,
And that's not Bolsover that does it.
no, it's not.
Right, yeah,
No.
I can speak
Well, let's have
to Mark then.
a, let's
at
see,
Balborough.
Yeah, speak to Jen.
if you're struggling with time,
Yeah.
we're going to have to go through that.
Could I ask
Yeah.
that you delegate, you know, I'll go through the process and get a comparative quote, but you delegate the task of, it's within my delegated authorities under financial regs anyway. But if you can move and second it, devolve the task to me,
I'm happy to move
subject to getting, you know, at least another quote, and I'll go with the most competitive.
Yeah, because if they're doing Balfour Country Park, the professionals, aren't they? They're not one man.
Well, it might be cheaper
So,
for Barbara and for Clowne if we're piggybacking on an existing contract, you know.
well, I don't, no, don't.
No, I'm leaving
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
but I'm saying they're in this area, aren't
Yeah.
they? They're just cutting up the road.
So,
why
we're
would
on to delegate powers to Steve.
Yeah.
Opposed it?
Hang on then, so can I just, who,
Method. I don't know.
was it you?
That's it.
Oh,
I can
I think I'm having Neil's to do.
You can have it.
Alright, got it.
Right, all in favour? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
8.3 is that for information only?
The notification.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just,
Information, notification of casual vacancy for position of parish councillor, parish of Clowne East Ward. Items deferred from previous meeting. Quarter 3 consolidated account statement 2019 to 2020. We had that at the last meeting. Has everybody had a look at it? Got any questions? No? So we're going to propose it?
Yeah.
Seconder?
so council Salt.
David?
Councillor Davidson.
All in favour? Thank you.
Thank you.
Creditors payment schedule, payment batch 2019 04.
It's payment batch 04 and in financial year 2019-20, just our reference, and it was clicked to the, it was previously circulated and clicked to the
Has everybody had a look at that? Has everybody got any questions? Everybody happy? Thank you. Propose that we accept it. Second it. All in favour?
Yeah, I've got it, yeah. Thank you.
Financial contribution to Bolsover Festival of Brass 2020. Confirm that Bolsover District Council, Elkington with Crestwell Parish Council, Charlotte Town are each contributing £1,654 towards the event Sunday the 4th.
I think the issue last time when it was considered and you deferred it was, yeah,
I thought we
are the other partners putting in the same amount of money as Clowne Parish Council?
Yeah.
And I've had it confirmed that yes, they are. So Elmsworth Cresswell Parish Council, Clowne, and Shirebrook would all put the same amount of money in. And this year, Bolsover District Council have agreed to put the same amount in as well. So there are 4.
What about staff? That's clear. So we were going to supply staff
Yeah,
as well. So
yeah.
are they supplying, Shirebrook supplying staff?
Each council supplies a couple of staff to help throughout the event as part of the deal. And so, you know, there'll be 8 staff there helping.
I'll say I went to the event last year. I'm not a big brass band fan. Doesn't float my boat, but it was absolutely amazing. People stood there, they were
I
fantastic.
think if you're into it,
Really
it is really
It's
special.
where there was thousands of people there. So can we go to?
We need a move in a second if you want to make that contribution.
Does anybody want to have a chat? Neil, sorry.
I think I mentioned last time that I think if as long as we were paying the same as everybody else, that we should pay it. So I'd like to move that.
Yeah.
that
Can we just see if we've got?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, mate.
I've got to move out.
No, hang on. Does everybody wants? speak on the matter first? Is everybody happy?
So you seconded it.
Right, then now we'll move on to the motion.
So,
So,
I'd like to move that we pay
Yeah.
the agreed amount based on what.
And the event's on Sunday, the 4th of October, just for members of the public.
Yeah.
It's a
we've
really
got a
good
second.
Councillor Richards.
All in favour?
Yeah, thank you.
9.4, letters been received regarding the siting of a place name sign for the hamlet of Halsthorpe on Rotherham Road. I think we invited.
Yeah, I didn't know whether, I put this on because obviously I was off poorly and I don't know where we are with it. I've spoken to Mr Knight today and did invite them to come to the meeting, but it was...
So I'm
Mrs.
There we go.
Bless you. Bless you. So if you can recall, this was about recognising the hamlet of Halsthorpe, which technically is part of Clowne Parish, with its own highways compliant place name signage. And I gave you a few ideas of costings if you wanted to go with this from Glasgow, but there are others as well. And the cost was about £340 plus VAT to buy it. Then there'll be a cost for installation. So you're probably talking about £600, £600-700 worth of investment if you decide to go with it. But I think you wanted to hear from Mr or Mrs Knight and give her the opportunity to address council about it. So if you wanted her to speak, you'd have to suspend standing orders.
We will let us speak next to audience.
That's fine.
I'd like to suspend standing orders to let Mrs.
We'll
Knight.
just have a vote and then
Well,
we're there.
it was
aren't we?
just a case of, with all this development.
We just need to take the vote because it's all.
Sorry.
So
All in favour of suspending standing orders? Thank you.
who seconded?
I'll second.
Yeah, Neil.
Anybody against?
No.
No, all in favour, thank you.
Sorry about
Just with it being such a historical place, it's all going to be subsumed in this development. It seemed a shame, not to have some sort of recognition of it with it being so ancient.
that. I think we all totally agree.
Well, I'm actually shocked that this hasn't had acknowledgement already, and I hope that the council supports Halsthorpe having the acknowledgement that it deserves, because it's a huge part of our community and our history, and it's something that we should acknowledge.
Right, Dan?
I'm not in on
Where's Twiddling Carrot? Sorry, David.
Do we need to get anybody's permission to actually put this wherever it's going to be sited?
I'm assuming, and I have checked to a point, that with it being highways, roadside location, it will need to be highways compliant.
Would it be?
And the one that I've given you is highways compliant,
Yeah.
and it would need to be agreed by Derbyshire Highways, which is fine. That's a process to go through, but as you know, it can take a while to, if you approved it, to take it through that process. So if you were thinking, if you did go with it, if you're thinking it might happen tomorrow, from experience, it might take
So
several
we
weeks.
need to be moving on it.
I'd like to move that we put the signage and give
I'll second.
Halsthorpe some
We
recognition.
can't.
Oh, suspend it, yes.
Oh,
That is
sorry.
I already put my hand up.
So
We've suspended standing orders.
Do we need to go back
No.
into it?
I
to
think you just got to see
reinstate-
if Mrs Knight's been
Sorry.
speaking and addressing council first.
Oh, sorry, I don't know what you want me to say.
No, I mean,
that's
you
fine.
don't have to say what you don't want to.
No.
So you need to come back.
So we'd like to reinstate standing orders. I want to propose it, Natalie, and I want to second it.
Councillor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, we just need to move, so.
I just want to ask how it affects does it affect the address? Does it? I don't understand how.
No.
No, it's a hamlet.
It's just recognition.
No.
Okay.
Can I just make a further comment? Just, oh,
Yeah.
sorry, we're not
All
voting.
in favour?
Wait, is it
Hang on.
standing orders?
No. The motion is that the council agrees to purchase a highways compliant sign recognising the hamlet of Halsthorpe, subject to the approval of all the necessary agencies like highways.
Right. All in favour? Thank you.
Can I just make an additional comment? It's more to the history group, really. Is there somewhere that we could, I mean, obviously it's used quite a lot for walkers, dog walkers. Is there somewhere further down, you know, a suitable location where we could put some history about Halsthorpe as well? Maybe there's something, you know, that the Clowne History Group, a plaque or something, some further recognition.
Yeah, because I'm personally involved in this, because in the 1891 census, I've done my family history, and members of my grandma's family actually lived in that hamlet in 1891, and we have got pictures of that hamlet, and you can put a copy of the 1891 census showing it was an hamlet and people lived there with the names.
Yeah,
so
it's just feedback.
yeah, we've got stuff, yeah.
So it might be an idea to ask Clowne History Society, if there's any members here, just to send some requests in. The council may look favourably on it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we took vote, let's go.
Yeah, that's done.
Thank you very much.
Item 11. she's done
Item
that.
11. Approval of purchase of 2 Versatona stainless steel litter bins from Mill Street for £1,175 plus VAT, plus £95 carriage.
Well, I think you know what mine and Dan's question would be, you know, are the recyclable bins? And one issue that is a huge thing that comes to all of us, you know, I think Pam's actually left it, but it's cigarette butts. It's a massive aim. They're on Mill Street and all around that area. It's disgusting.
Blew into me as I was in the
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
And if we can have something on the bin that we can collect these up, because right now people just drop them wherever they want, but if we can.
Yeah, if Steve could explain, I think we're limited to what bins we can actually put in it.
Yeah, if you can recall, this was a request from parishioners that they wanted to see more litter bins along Mill Street. The issue was twofold. One is, with it being part of a conservation area, and there's been a previous scheme to put litter bins in, the type and specification of bin that's required is restricted to what the conservation officer at Bolsover District Council tells us. So if you can recall, when you've been walking around the village, that those stainless steel, they're quite modern looking, but we have to fit in with that house style, right? So that's issue one. Issue two is, where can we put them? Along Mill Street, where all the shops are, there isn't really anywhere other than, you know, one of those plastic ones on a lamppost where you could put it, other than if we could get the approval of the landowner or the shop owner next to the, no, it was the pizza place on the Chernobyl side. There's, yeah, it was there, wasn't it?
Robin?
No, you. So we were thinking of recessing it there, but we would need, the complication there is landowner approval, but you'd like to think they would be supportive because it's helping with litter outside of the shop. So that's issue one. And then they want, the other place that we looked at was outside of the where the Ashgate is and around that area, something sort of fixed into the the tarmac pathway leading around that particular zone. So they're the two areas that were identified with the parishioners that raised the issue in the first place. As I've explained the reason why we've got to go for these types of bins, because it's a conservation area and it's got to fit in with a house style. Because they are solid stainless steel, the costs are, for a bin, deep breath, £1,175 each, plus VAT, which we claim back, and then 95 quid's carriage. So if you wanted two, for the two locations identified, you would be talking just shy of £2,500. Now you have funding within your environment budget, but I just wanted to explain the context of why they're so expensive, why it's got to be these bins, and the areas that we, if you agree, we would put them.
Right, thank you. Dan?
Sorry, so these just like just general waste
Yeah.
bins. They're not recycled.
Not recycled,
They're
no.
just the general garbage that people chuck in.
Yeah.
And we're paying $2 grand for one of them.
No, two. Yeah.
Why can't we, for that price, why can't we get ones that are like split up into different things? So yeah, alright, might have to fit in with the aesthetics of buildings, but why go for aesthetics when you can go for something that might not look as nice as that, but you can split like plastic, garbage and stuff like that. You're looking on the environmental aspect instead of going, oh, here's a plastic bottle, I'll bung it in there, it'll be on a landfill, and then by the time we're all gone, the plastic bottle that's been bunged in that will still be sitting on a landfill.
If we look at that, we've also got to look at emptying as well. And if they put anything that's not recyclable in the recyclable bin, it then contaminates it, and they're not allowed to recycle anything then. So to me, for the general public, to put a bin out there, forget about recycling, just go for a bin where it all goes in one.
Anything else?
Yeah, and there's installation on top of that, of course, is there?
Yeah.
Roughly.
They only supply only, so you know you're talking what two, you're probably talking £125 per bit, so you're talking another, £250 on top of that. So you probably, as a working budget, you'd be talking about £3 grand supplied and fitted, plus that.
I think that's very expensive just to get aesthetically looking bins.
But we ain't got a choice.
No choice.
It's like, can't you get different ones that look like they fit into the conservation thing?
I have this is what the conservation officer in dialogue with her has sort of said, and
Again, I don't know where we stand legally, but do you have to go with that supplier, or can we source a tradesman locally that would make that, like an engineering company, etc.?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know of any. I mean, the only issue is it's the time and effort on top of.
I get paid less for building an house.
Yeah.
Barbara?
I'm deeply concerned about the parish, but I mean,
It's time
I'm
and
my
doing, that's the
husband
issue.
and I that went round about this. And while I think it does need one in front of Ashgate,
Yeah.
that little alleyway beside a few space, I think it's an excellent way the time it'll just get wrecked if they'll be jumping on it. Because, I mean, there's some vehicles walking down there, there's that awful wheelie bins, and it's always filthy. So that's not going to look exactly pristine in a fortnight. So I just wonder whether perhaps just consider one at Ashgate.
I think we should shelve them. I'm sorry, I think they're too expensive. I think we should look at alternatives in different parts of the village.
Neil?
Sorry.
Where are these getting put there?
Right, at the moment, we don't know where we're going to put them, but I'm concerned, Ian, that we're moving away from the original motion, which I think we agreed we were going to do a recycling. I understand that
That's
we
what
can't do it if it gets mixed.
Yeah. If anybody puts it in,
But
it'll all go into rubbish in, and
But it's
they'll not recycle it, I know that for a
no,
fact.
I understand that, but isn't it worth the fact that Parish Council, we are trying now, we want to first to put recycled bins in.
Yep.
We want something to be proud of. Admittedly, everybody's just going to chuck stuff in, but eventually it will sink in. It's going to take time.
Just how much do you pay for a bin like that?
But that,
Separate compartments, so
Yeah.
it's going to be recycled, you're going to pay such a lot more.
can we, sorry, Natalie.
I think we should just take it to the vote and let council vote, because we could be debating this all night.
Yeah, of course.
As we say.
Yeah. I think we've already passed motion now.
No, I think the motion was that we would talk with the parishioners that had submitted the letters and talk to them and then bring it back.
Right. So there's one, somebody what's the motion, is the motion actually on it?
No, there's no motion, we need to make one.
I'll make a motion. I'd like to look further into the